The turnover valve, President Captain Ibrahim Traoré does not simply release water, he releases 6 decades of waiting. They were promised this in the 1960s. Their grandparents were shown blueprints. Their parents were told next year. And now, in the space of 8 months, what foreign consultants and endless feasibility studies could not deliver in 60 years, Burkinabe hands have built, and Burkinabe willpower has opened. 1.1 million cubic meters, 700 meters of reinforced earth and concrete, 100% financed by internal resources. No external debt, no foreign contractors, just a state that decided its people has waited long enough. And then, before the elders who thought they would die without seeing this day, before the youth who will now farm this land year-round, the president speaks.
Qui était beaucoup attendu. Il y en aura d'autres encore dans la région. L'ONB est en train de travailler à identifier tous les potentiels pour pouvoir réaliser d'autres barrages en plus de cela. L'objectif, c'est de fournir, premièrement en tout cas, de l'eau potable à la population, pour que les jeunes puissent s'occuper, faire l'agriculture en temps plein autour des différents points d'eau que nous allons réaliser, mais aussi la pisciculture. Je viens de discuter avec le ministre pour que la pisciculture en cage flottante puisse se faire. Et ça va dans droite ligne avec notre politique d'autosuffisance alimentaire pour que nos paysans puissent produire en toute saison à travers la maîtrise d'eau que nous pourrons réaliser.
But to understand the weight of that speech, you must understand what it took to get here. Po was identified as a critical water retention site over 60 years ago. The geography was perfect, a natural basin in the southern Burkina Faso where seasonal rains collected and then vanished into the cracked earth. The need was obvious, the plans were drawn, and then nothing. Decades passed, governments changed, donor priorities shifted, the files gathered dust in Ouagadougou, while the people of Po gathered water from shrinking wells. Climate change tightened its grip, the Sahel grew hotter, the rains grew more unpredictable, and the promise of Po became a bitter joke. The dam that was always coming, but never arrived. Until November 2025, when ONBAH, the Nation Office for Dams and Hydro-Agricultural Development, broke ground with a mandate that was almost reckless in its clarity, finished this in 8 months.
Donc, c'est ce que nous avons fait savoir à l'entreprise. Parce que le travail n'avance pas du tout. Ça n'avance pas. Après les difficultés, nous avons relancé le chantier en décembre 2025. Mais de décembre 2025 à nos jours, il n'y a eu qu'un progrès de 6%. C'est très négligeable et c'est insignifiant comme avancement. Donc nous avons signifié notre mécontentement à l'entreprise et nous lui avons donné les instructions de se ressaisir. Ce barrage doit être mis en eau avec les barrages de Gouloré pour Capro. Donc ça veut dire que d'ici mai, le barrage doit être fini. Et c'est un engagement ferme que nous prendrons auprès de nos autorités et l'entreprise va subir le rythme qu'il faut pour que l'engagement soit respecté.
In the world of large-scale infrastructure, that is not a timeline. That is a challenge. Engineers worked in shifts around the clock. Local labor was mobilized by the hundreds. The state diverted internal resources. No World Bank loans, no Chinese infrastructure agreements, no Paris Club negotiations, just Burkinabe money, Burkinabe planning, and Burkinabe sweat. 700 meters of dike, 1.1 million cubic meters of storage capacity, designed not just to hold water, but to distribute it through irrigation channels that will reach fields that have never known a dry season crop, through pipes that will carry drinking water to communities that have boiled muddy well water for generations. And then there is the young people. The president was explicit. This dam is not only about agriculture, it is about employment, about giving a generation a reason to stay. And first, as Captain Ibrahim insisted, drinking water, the most fundamental promise of all. In a region where waterborne diseases have stolen countless childhoods, the clarity of what flows from these pipes is not just convenience, it is public health, it is dignity. But the Po Capro Dam was never meant to stand alone. This is part of a wider regional initiative, a deliberate, systemic campaign by the Burkinabe state to build and clear water retention sites across the country's most vulnerable agricultural zones. Each project replicates the Po model: rapid construction, internal financing, immediate utility. The logic is ruthless in its simplicity. Burkina Faso cannot control the global price of gold or cotton. It cannot control the rainfall of the Sahel, but it can control its water. It can trap the rain that does fall. It can stretch the wet season into the dry. It can turn vulnerability into storage and storage into sovereignty. Food self-sufficiency, water security, youth employment. These are not separate policies. At PO, they are the same concrete structure, the same body of water, the same national decision. There is a moment after the speeches end and the drums stop when the politics falls away and only the water remains, flowing, filling, changing the color of the earth from brown to green at the channel's edge. A promise from the 1960s kept in 2026, not by accident, not by charity, but by a state that looked at its own resources, its own engineers, its own people, and said, we will not wait no longer. The Pokapro Dam is concrete and steel. It is 1.1 million cubic meters and 700 meters of dike, but it's also something harder to measure. It's the end of an excuse, the proof that what was promised can be delivered, that what was imagined can be built, that a nation, when it decides to flow, cannot be stopped. From Po, Burkina Faso, this is the story of a dam and of a people who refuse to let their future remain a blueprint. Keep following us, subscribe to our YouTube channels for more interesting stories from Burkina Faso and about our favorite Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Thank you for watching.